Hello again. Today we're going to go through the puzzle, the example puzzle, and the contest puzzles from Hexagony of the Akari type. I made all three of these, and we're going to be solving them all in PenPut. So what are the rules of Akari? You have to place some lights in every cell so that every cell is illuminated. They shine all cells in a straight line until they hit a solid object. Lights can't shine other lights, so this would be wrong. And all cells need to be lit, and all number cells have that many surrounding them. So this is a legal placement because they only count orthogonal adjacencies. Alright, rules out of the way, so immediately we can kind of see these zeros won't have any, and these threes will. We're going to draw in these lines real quick, just to show what's shined. This cell must be a light bulb, or else it can never be shined. And additionally, this 2 is already satisfied. This cell must be a light bulb in order to shine this one. We can also take a look at this bottom right corner now. If we were to place a bulb here, look what happens to the 3. It just does not have enough room to ever have enough. So it can't be a bulb. We can do the same deduction here. Place one here because there must be. Now the 1's satisfied. We need one here. Can't put one here, and so we've now solved the Akari puzzle. So this example is pretty easy. I originally wrote it for Puzzle Zodiac last year, but it's an example. It's supposed to be easy. Let's get into the first contest puzzle now. Okay, this one was written by Eric Fox, and it is a 10-point puzzle. So this one can be done pretty quickly if you know what you're doing, and I'm going to breeze through the early steps. We can use the same trick we did with the 3 to say this cell can't be used. And we can do the same with this other 2. And, that's kind of as far as the easy steps go. But what about this construction of 1s in the middle? This should draw anybody's attention. Well, I'm going to introduce you to something now in Akari, which we can call like a line reduction of sorts. Where, no matter what we do, there are 4 lines here that these 1s can have anything on. And what that means is that once we put a bulb on one part of a line, the rest of that line is done, and all 4 of these lines will have a bulb adjacent to the 1. So what that means is everything else on these lines is definitely not a bulb. Which lets us get a little progress into this corner through that same diagonal trick, but it also resolves this bottom. It's going to give us some progress into down here. Hey, when I draw a line, give me the line. Only spot to get the cell where I put the bulb, to have that shined. This one now needs to be shined from here. And now we can resolve our central construction, as this cell, row 9, column 5, must have a bulb on it, or a bulb shining to it, which we can then cycle around, as this central thing only has 2 options. Have to put a bulb in the corner, have to put a bulb here, have to shine that cell. We'll look at this 2 in the corner in a moment. We're going to end with that. Just kind of put in more lines, just kind of show everything is shined. Okay, so how do we resolve this last corner? Well, this is where things get a little trickier. One thing you can do is look ahead and say that if this particular cell in row 3 is the bulb, well, it just doesn't work. But a cleaner way, and something that will be more useful in longer puzzles or in larger puzzles with a similar idea, is to just look at row 1, column 2, and say, okay, I need a light bulb here or here, and if I put one here, then I eliminate both of these possibilities. So this is not a bulb, this is a bulb, and therefore, the final bulb goes in the corner. There is no solution check on this puzzle, because it was one of the contest puzzles, but I hope that shows some pretty simple techniques to get through some somewhat more tricky Akaris. And a fun fact about this puzzle, it was actually originally rotated 90 degrees this way In fact, can I do that here? No. Okay. Well, it was originally rotated 90 degrees, and I rotated it 90 degrees counterclockwise so that this top left corner with the 2 would have to be noticed and done correctly in order to get credit. As the answer key is just the first column, or the first row, or sorry, for each row, the first column that has a light bulb in it. And this whole thing would just be just not captured without rotating the puzzle. And this did catch a couple of people. I did see some 5-2-1 submissions where it should be 1-2-3. Alright, moving on to the hexagonal Akari, which I made. It was worth 15 points. And I really wanted to make this once I had the idea, because I thought it could be a really cool variant. You can obviously start with this 0, which, as you can see now, eliminates 6 cells instead of 4. And then these 2s are actually a little stronger than they otherwise would be. We're going to use an X to say there's a bulb on one of those 2 cells, and look what it does to these lines. We can also say that if this cell is a bulb, then we eliminate both cells where we know a bulb must be. And so we can do the same thing with this 2 at the bottom. You know, make a little bit of progress. And now look at the central 2. Now we've eliminated 3 of its cells, so the remaining 2 must be bulbs. Now this grid's going to look a little messy. It's not really any way around that when, you've got lines going in every direction like this. But I still want to, be thorough to show how this puzzle works, because this puzzle can be very difficult. It tripped up a lot of people during the contest. Just either missing a placement or adding an extra bulb, or just something that wasn't quite right. So this one now only has the one option, which gives us this bulb. Note that it's very important to track the difference between whether a cell has been shined or whether it cannot be a bulb. Those are very different and very important to track differently. If we look at, in fact, right here, this cell can only be shined from right there. And I'm just going to draw in the rest of these. Place this here. As you can see, some of these cells even get shined from 3 directions, but some also have trouble being shined. This cell now in row 3 is kind of forcing. Clears out the rest of the top row. Gives a nice line coming down here. As you can see, the logic on this Akari is not terribly difficult to understand or use, but it's very error-prone. Now, got to shine back here. There's a lot of information to track. It's very easy to track it incorrectly. And this was worth 15 points, not because I expected this puzzle to take people 3 minutes, but because I expected some of the errors to creep in, or just some unfamiliarity with the logic. I'm sure a lot of people got this way faster than 3 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some less than 1 minute solves on this. Especially because at the end of the day, there's only 10 light bulbs. It's a very open Akari. I think it's a very nice puzzle. I think it's a very neat puzzle. And I hope that this helped explain how you can solve Akari puzzles better in the future. And in particular, see how these ones work. Alright, until next time. Later.